Yes, I'm with Ian Gorst, Chief Minister, on Holocaust Day. We were talking about the pledge. Our guest speaker was talking about the pledge so that 50 million dead of the Second World War never happens again. Signing up for human rights conventions is part of that pledge. How's Jersey doing on the latest updates?
Yes, well, we are, as you'll be aware, last year the Council of Ministers gave a commitment that this year, 2012, we would actually get on and start delivering anti-discrimination legislation. That's been put with the Social Security Department, and the plan and timetable is that it will still be delivered in 2012. And I think that's fundamentally important because it will cover a lot of areas. It will cover age, it will cover around sexual discrimination, and we know, and race discrimination. It might not all happen in one lump block of legislation, but the overriding legislation should be brought forward and considered this year, and then it will be a matter of the length of time that it takes to enact. But I am committed to it. I, in my time at Social Security, brought forward legislation about increasing the pension age, for example. That needs age discrimination protection in place to enable that particular policy to be put into place.
Three notable conventions which we haven't even ratified yet: disability, rights of the women, and the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Most countries in the world have signed up for all three of those. Why hasn't Jersey done so yet?
Well, as you know, we've got different legislation to other jurisdictions. Government has made commitments certainly to around the rights of the child, and we're bringing in line various pieces of legislation so that we can sign up and that they are in place. Some of the other jurisdictions, of course, take the other view. They sign up in principle and then they deal with the legislation, but we try to be responsible. We look at the legislation that's required, and then we're able to enact it.
Why not just ratify them, and if people want to bring complaints, let them bring complaints, because you'll have to ratify. You've got to change the laws anyway. You might as well you've got to ratify the conventions, and if people want to take the government to task, well, let them do so.
Well, I think it's more responsible to actually make sure your legislation is in place before you actually then put the piece of signing the documentation that's required, if I can put it like that. And that's the view we've taken, and I think that's responsible. So we are working our way towards it. When there are areas of our legislation which people don't think appropriate, then we'll review it, and if it needs changing,
there used to be a small human rights department here with an officer, but there's nothing of that sort now. It's very difficult for the general public to know what's going on in human rights, but that wouldn't be a great expenditure. Would Jersey have a human rights office?
It's not something that I've considered. Obviously, we know that all our legislation is reviewed by the Law Officers Department for compliance with human rights.
And you think that's sufficient for the general public?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it works very well. We, as a government and a legislature, have confidence that legislation that ministers are bringing forward is convention compliant.
So we'll come back here next year and things will be in place. That's a promise.
Well, I certainly hope that next year I'll be standing before you and we'll have done the work on the discrimination legislation because I believe that we absolutely have to do that.
We shall see you then. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.